Mics are going up.
Information discussed or shared by the cast and guests of LesBe Real Radio Talk are for information or entertainment purposes only and does not in any way attempt to replace the advice offered by an expert on the subject.
Oh, I just love this song. It is one of my favorite songs.
And which song is this?
It's Makira by Les Nubian. That was a tongueful. But anyway, this is Foxee Coxxy.
This is Renee Norris Jones.
This is Marsha Simmons.
And that is a new voice on the microphone in the G-Town. Hey, so Marsha, where are you from?
Well, I'm originally from a small town. It's called Wichita Falls, Texas. So people don't think it's in Kansas because that's Wichita, Kansas. It's Wichita Falls, Texas. And I've been in Philly for a long time. I've been in Philly since 2008. So, clearly I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah, I think there's something about 2008 that definitely makes you an honorary resident.
Yes. A lot happened in '08. Actually, when I moved to Philly, Obama was, he was put in office.
Yep.
But at the same time, I can't remember which one happened first, but the Phillies won the pennant, so the baseball team. So it was a crazy, 60 days. It was a crazy 60 days. So everybody was dancing in the streets for both of the occasions. And that really gave me a good perspective of Philly. From jump.
See, what you should have said was when I came to Philly, they threw a parade because I was coming. The baseball team just kind of tailed me, but the parade was really for me.
I was trying to be humble.
But I wonder if that was the year that we met. No, it couldn't have been.
I might have met you in '09.
Wow.
Yeah, I met you pretty soon after coming to Philly. Because I started at Mazzoni, and I think you were at one of the very first events that I worked at.
Wow. Yeah, because I had been, I think, a vet at that point with Mazzoni.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely from our encounter. I remember. I'm like, yeah, it's chill.
Foxee Coxxy was amazing the first day that I met her. I'll have to come back and talk about that a different day.
Yes, that's a whole nother show. That's like 3 shows. But I've been on Marsha for, I guess, since '08 or '09. And then I was thinking, we're doing the freestyle type of thing just to bring it back home. And I was like, I need to have Marsha on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
She's the first part of the freestyle.
There you go.
2017.
We're going to free it up then.
Just from volunteering. I met you, oh God. But Mazzoni, the best place, or one of the best places to volunteer in the city is Mazzoni Center and Delaware Valley Legacy Fund. And I'll tell you why, because they host a lot of events and they have a lot of open bar and food. So not only can you raise money and help the community, you can have a freaking great time.
Yeah, that always helps. Always helps.
Yes, there's some good parties that go down.
Yeah, and then we met at the film festival one year. So we got to see, you get to see the movies and everything. It's really, if you're looking for something to do, I always say go volunteer. People are like, I'm looking to meet a mate or a friend or whatever. Get out there and volunteer.
You have to give back to your community in some way, shape, or form. Find something you're passionate about, and most organizations can kind of fit you in there somewhere doing just that.
Yeah.
But I think that's weird. I don't think it's weird, but I have been approached and told that it's weird to volunteer. And I was surprised, especially I was in North Philly, so I was in, a North Philly community, typically African American, various ages, and I think I was handing out flyers, and someone thought, what are you doing? And I said, I'm volunteering. Do you have a job? And I said, yes, of course I have a job. I always have a job before I volunteer, but yeah. And he was like, I just really don't understand why people volunteer. And I'm like, you do things to get out, get in the community with your extra time.
And here's the thing. Employers value volunteer time, especially when you look at folks that don't have a lot of experience. Like I've sat with the law office I used to be with, and we would look at folks' resume, and they were students, but they got like a half a page or a page of just where they're volunteering.
Yeah.
And you're going, wow, volunteer time counts as real employment time. When I first got my accounting degree a couple of decades ago, my daughter was in private school. So I go in for the interview, and they say, So we understand your daughter goes to this particular school. It's a private school. And I said, yeah. And they said, well, do you know so-and-so? I said, no, because her kid had just left and my kid had just started. And they said, well, we called the private school. They didn't call any of the county references I had. They called the private school and said, so what do you know about Renee Norris-Jones? And they said, oh, you mean walk on water, Renee?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. She said, based on that, we're ready to offer you a job.
Wow.
And I'm going, I've had other places that go, yeah, you sent all this in, but we see back and whatever, you volunteered, you did this, you did that. People will hire you, trust me.
Absolutely.
On volunteer experience. So if you're trying to break into a field,
yeah,
go volunteer in it.
That's absolutely true.
That's a great segue because that's how I got one of my job at the Mazzoni Center. I have volunteered forever, and then an internship had opened up. And I had been in law for quite some time, so I wanted to switch over to nonprofit and marketing.
Right.
And lo and behold, a marketing position opened up at the nonprofit that I volunteered for. So I worked there for a year, and I put it on my resume, and it got me a job.
Yes.
Within the year.
And as you go to companies, ask people, how'd you get this job? You'd be surprised how many people got that job and they'll go. It was another company I worked for. The woman who I shared an office with said, I used to volunteer here. So they were used to me. I applied for the job. Boom, I'm in. So folks really need to look at volunteer opportunities. Folks look at it as a real job. And if I'm looking at Marsha and maybe she volunteered for 15 years and maybe Foxee Coxxy has some experience, I'm going to go with Marsha because it's telling me something about her character.
Yeah.
What she does when she's off work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't underestimate I'm getting off my soapbox now. Do not underestimate the volunteering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people that have volunteered for LesBe Real have moved on to great experiences.
Yep.
Great experiences. So kudos to the volunteers. And if you want to volunteer for LesBe Real, we are accepting volunteers.
There you go. Wonderful segue.
And we will do work with your work study so you can get paid through your school. And, we'll work with you.
And just one other tidbit on that. If, and I swear I'm going to get off my soapbox. When you ask folks, what do companies look for when they're looking for someone fresh out of college? The questions are like GPA, what school you went to, all of those things. Number one thing they look for is volunteer
involvement.
Number one. Over what school you went to and what your GPA is. They look at that first. So check it out, folks. Google it.
But we have to talk about Obama's farewell. It was depressing. It was really depressing. And then there were some people there that were, or at least I know one person was trying to protest.
Well, okay, all right. I'm gonna have you bring me up because I have been under a rock. It's called the dissertation rock, and there's probably some other folks out there that were underneath the same rock. When you said Obama's farewell, I was expecting you to say it was inspiring, it was sad, it was moving.
Well, it was all the above, but ultimately he's saying goodbye.
Okay.
And
so you're sad to see him go?
Yes.
It wasn't like what he said was sad?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. Well, it was touching when he talked about his wife. He started to talk about the people involved with his success, and of course he mentioned his wife first.
Okay.
And
he
he got
to.
emotional.
Did
he started crying.
Oh.
Michelle would not cry. I was like, she is not going to mess up her makeup.
She did not.
She did not shed a tear. But Obama started crying.
Didn't they do it in Chicago? Okay, I have to be honest. I only saw the highlights, which is sad. But I think they did it in Chicago.
They did it in Chicago, in his hometown.
I did read that headline.
Yeah.
Marsha's a step ahead of me because at least she saw the highlights. I do remember seeing that headline now. That Chicago says goodbye. He does it from his hometown, adopted hometown. It's coming back to me now.
Yeah, and I can say, from the looks of it, it looked like a very diverse crowd. I did notice there were more white people there than black people. I'm not sure what's up with that, but it was an interesting observation. Especially being in his hometown.
I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that.
Not either.
Yeah.
No, because if you think about it, how many people that were white who voted for him? There were a good amount.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're still supporting him.
And the black folks who weren't there, what they were doing? They weren't volunteering. That's what happened. That's what happened.
That's
what
true.
happened to that whole population
it's
over
probably
there.
true.
That is very true.
And I'm assuming that there was some process to get a seat. Yeah. And I'm sure that there were some seats that went out to folks who worked, who volunteered, knew somebody, blah, blah, blah. And how many people thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to get in, so I'm not going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally my mentality. Like, it's too cold. And you know Chicago is that is another kind of freezing cold. Philadelphia can't even fathom.
All.
I'm not even going over there.
And you know, I remember when his first year in office, when they had that coating of snow in D.C., and his baby girl said, "Are you kidding me? We play outside at recess in this kind of snow. It was like a blizzard for us." And she was like, "There's no school today? Really? This is like recess weather." She was shocked that there was no school in Washington, D.C. because, you know, we got some snow.
Yeah.
So that's some serious Chicago weather.
Yeah. But he's in there until, I guess, the 19th. And then we are bringing in our new president-elect, Donald Trump.
Speaking of sad, though, it was very touching how Malia, right, the older one, was crying the whole time.
Yeah.
She was so emotional, especially when he shot out to Michelle. She's wiping tears the whole time, and you're right, Michelle didn't cry at all. I thought maybe her daughter crying would make her, not at all.
Nope. I think even Joe shed a tear. Or his eyes were leaking. I'm not sure what it was.
Well, you know what? Strong black women, man, we have endured so much. You know, we thumped that chest.
But that's your boo, putting you on the pedestal of all pedestals. Like,
but you know, we still got to show up more, do more, and you know, we do that. And sometimes, you know, we got to hold that and put that part aside.
And she can't mess up that makeup.
Yeah,
mess up that makeup. That is key. If you haven't seen it, you can watch the highlights like Marsha, or I'm sure some pirate on YouTube has the whole video.
Yeah.
It's only about an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so we're gonna skip over the depressing news of the Exxon Mobil.
Well, you know, here's the thing that before we went on air, I'm listening to this. I'm not really surprised. Here is the surprise.
Can someone brief me?
So, Donald Trump appointed U.S. Secretary of State, former Exxon Mobil CEO Rex Tillerson, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm not surprised. The surprise is coming to those folks who voted for Donald Trump because they thought, he's rich, we all gonna be rich. And there's a whole bunch of folks out there like that. So those are the ones who's going, first of all, let's just go back a second. What the heck are you talking about? The rich stay rich.
Yeah.
Always.
I've been saying this for a while, and I said, only people that I think that he would take care of are the people that are like him.
Right.
And I really don't see why people thought that they were going to join that club.
No.
You're not going to get in that club.
Yeah, you're not going to get in that club because he's rich. You're not going to be rich. This is the way it's always been.
Yeah.
But there were actually people, I've actually talked to folks who actually thought that we're all going to be in this together. Well, first of all, there's no we because y'all on two different levels. And he's just bringing in more folks like him. So it's like, okay, I'm not sure what the news is here because this is what happened. Like I said, the people who are getting the real earpiece, and hopefully the reality check is that, dude, honey, you know, whatever services you're getting, expect it to be cut.
Yeah,
or go away.
Aren't there droves of people who didn't know that Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act were the same thing?
Yes.
And so they voted for Trump because they thought, oh, Obamacare is terrible. We got to get rid of that. But you have ACA. So they really did not understand that they're not going to, if Trump chooses to reverse this, then they're not going to get it. And they're going to miss their benefits and all that stuff. And that just, like, drives me crazy.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. And
I'm just hoping the next 4 years goes quickly.
I don't know have any of y'all like traveled since this happened, since he got elected?
I did.
Out of the country.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
So what is it like I went out of the country too. What is it like being an American in another country and people figured that out? Especially as an African American woman.
I was in Italy, southern Italy for Christmas. And the folks who said America, when you had the conversation, you found someone, it was like, oh yeah, Trump, and we all just kind of said, they were like, yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I didn't experience anything too bad outside the country. It was when I came back. I had to go through customs, and they, I got X. I got a big X on my pass because I had, well, because my name, one, is a common name, allegedly, and then two, because I have a Hispanic name.
Wow.
My middle name is Hispanic, and three, anyone coming back from a Latino country is automatically X.
Wow.
So, mind you, I am on a flight back from Dominican Republic. Pretty much everybody on that flight was X.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I did not.
It was frustrating, and I didn't know why I was X. I was like, what the freak? Because they had some kiosks. I was in JFK, and they had some kiosks there, and we're all just like bewildered, like, oh my God, what did I do? I know I ain't do nothing. But just the whole process of waiting to talk to someone was really frustrating. When I actually did talk to someone, he said those three things where I would have been hit either way. I was advised by TSA that I would have been hit with either one of those three things.
Wow.
And since I had all three, there was no chance in me going through.
Wow.
That kind of stuff is frustrating. Like, you have things to do. I miss my train home for things like that. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm sitting in a security line in customs or immigration and I'm wasting my time, I might have to sleep at that airport another night because I might miss the last train leaving from JFK or Newark or whatever. It's inconvenient.
Yeah, and people had connecting flights too. And there was actually a woman in line that said this is all Obama's fault. And I was like, are you crazy?
Whoa.
Are you crazy? But whatever. I made it through. And if she thinks that's something else, she got surprised when Trump come in. Yeah. Just to give us a breather, I need to call Wyatt.